This is an excellent move for social studies students, especially those of you who are taking any AP exams or IB exams, but it's also great in any type of social studies writing or even English writing. We could all use a little synthesis. Let's look at how Frank Dikotter does this in his book, Mao's Great Famine. Instead of following the Soviet model of development, which leaned heavily towards industry alone, China would walk on two legs. The peasant masses were mobilized to transform both agriculture and industry at the same time, converting a backward economy into a modern communist society of plenty for all. So, just to give you a tiny bit of context here before we look at what Frank Dikotter does to actually create the synthesis claim, Mao took over China in 1948, and he ruled until his death in 1976. And so whenever he came to power and created China into this unified communist state in 1949, he actually used the Soviets as kind of his model for how he was going to revolutionize China into a socialist system. But in order to do that, he wanted to create China into not just an industrial communist society, but also an agrarian communist society. So an important thing about a synthesis claim is that a synthesis claim can be used to compare, contrast, or provide context between the idea that you're writing about and something else. It could be anything. Maybe it's another geographic region that's experiencing the same issue as your topic that you're talking about, or it could be a comparison or contrast or contextualization from different historical time periods. Whatever it is, the synthesis claim will help you set up your writing so that you can break down that analysis a little bit more in whatever you are writing. Let's do a few noticings to see what we can find in terms of techniques and ideas that Dikotter uses to create a synthesis claim. So the first thing that I notice here right off the bat is that Dikotter is going to use the word instead to start off this synthesis claim. And that tells me right away that this is going to be a contrasting synthesis claim. So he says, instead of following the Soviet model of development, which leaned heavily towards industry alone. Now, I think this is very important. What he does here by saying this is that he's going to actually analyze the other topic that he's going to bring into his writing. So that connection is not just, saying instead of following the Soviet model of development, he actually tells us what the Soviet model of development is. And that's going to provide us some great context for understanding how it contrasts with what's going on in China. So then he goes on to say what is actually happening in China. And so we have the statement of the Soviet model. That is also going to be important because we want to be able to say, what is this exact thing that we are contrasting, comparing, or providing context with the central topic of our writing? Now, one other thing that I notice is that he's going to actually use the keywords in here twice. So he mentions here the word industry. And so whenever he's going to talk about why China was different, he says that China wanted to transform both agriculture and industry at the same time. So by doing that, he's able to not only connect what was going on in the Soviet Union with China, but he's also then able to expand on that and create a level of synthesis that's going to be really complex and rich for him to dissect in his writing. Finally, one thing that I notice here is that he leaves us off by telling us exactly what this conversion of agriculture and industry at the same time will actually do to China during this moment. It's going to convert a backward economy into a modern communist society of plenty for all. At least that was the goal, right? He's saying that this is Mao's goal and that this is what Mao thought was going to happen if he was able to transform both the agriculture and industry at the same time. Let's look at how a few other historians use the synthesis claim in their writing. synthesis claim is definitely a little bit more complicated than some of our other claims, but it's really great because whenever you're able to make a synthesis claim, you are setting yourself up for such rich analysis in your writing. So where in your writing do you have your central topic that could so easily connect to something else? Whether it's a comparison or a contrasting statement between what's going on in the geographic region you're talking about with another geographic region, or potentially a connection between a present, past, or future time period. Where in your writing maybe do you need a little bit of extra context? And so in order to do that, you need to bring in another historical time period, another geographic region, in order to really situate the central topic of your writing for your reader in order for them to fully understand what you are going to be talking about. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope to see you next time on Mini Moves for Writers.